we just come to the end of a rollercoaster 2025 season. Paul, if you look back to the playoff of 2024 and how things progressed after that, talk us through the process.
Well, obviously there was a bit of turmoil last year with managers leaving and stuff like that. So after the playoff against Drogheda, really we sat down with myself and Pat and Tony Richardson and Dave and we all had a good chat and Pat offered me the job, which I'm very grateful for, and to Tony Richardson as well, to a chance to manage this great club. So I was delighted to accept it. And then of course the hard work started. We had to get a coaching staff together with Graham and Gavin and Stephen and Ryan, and then we had to go and find some players, which was difficult because there was probably 75% of our squad ended up leaving, going to different clubs, going to Premier League clubs, and we had to try and recruit and get some players in. So it was a bit of a roller coaster off season, but once we got up and running and got back into pre-season and put a schedule together and tried to build a squad, then we were off and running.
The club went down a road with the player pathway of younger players and recruiting players of certain ages. You know, there was question marks at the start of the season, but you know, you seem to have been 100% behind it.
Yeah, well, we knew we had a good crop of young players in the academy. You've seen them all season, but obviously they were unknown players back then. But people in the club all knew about them and the quality that they had. And like I said, we tried to get some of the players that were here the year before. We tried to get them back, but for whatever reason, whether it was financial and a lot of other first division clubs were throwing around a lot of money, so that they obviously got tempted by that and went elsewhere, which meant we had to have some training sessions in December where we were looking at players on trial and from all over Europe and from all around Ireland, from under-20s teams, and just trying to get a group together that we thought could be competitive. Obviously we kept some of our mainstays like Max and Jimmy and Conor Knight and Jamie Duggan and Paul Murphy and people like that all came back along with the young players. Then we had to add a bit of quality to that, and we did. And you know, as you said, a lot of people questioned us before the start of the season about the age and the experience and the unknown players that were in the squad, but I repeated myself so many times that we would be competitive in every game, which we were, more or less, and you know, as the season went on, the players got better and better.
There was the unknown of the new pitch at the Carlisle grounds. Although it helped with the training, there were about 4 matches away from home, so a difficult start to the start of the year. Yeah,
well, obviously the pitch wasn't ready at the beginning of the season, so even our pre-season, that affected our pre-season. We had to travel all over Dublin, really, trying to fit games in up in the AUL and places like that, trying to fit friendlies in. And then when the season started, we had 4 away games on the bounce, which again is difficult because you want to try and get some points on the board as soon as possible. But I think we managed to win 2 out of those, which we were happy with, because you know, we didn't want to get to a stage where we were playing our first game here in Bray and with no points on the board. So I think we picked up a win down in Kerry and we won the first game up in Longford. Not great performances, but we managed to scrape a couple of 1-0 wins, and then we were delighted once we were able to come here and train fully on the pitch 3 times a week, and the players got used to the surface and they loved it from the moment they stepped on it. You know, it's a top class surface. It's quick. It's fast. It's good for technical young players that we have, and it suited us down to the ground. And you can see our home form all season has been. I think we won 13 or 14 games all season here. So our home form has been excellent, and the pitch is a big reason for that.
One of the pivotal games of the season was the Finn Harps loss away. There was much talk written about it. How did you react to it and come back in the way you did?
Well, obviously losing 5-0, it's not ideal, but I mean, there was no panic. We were very poor on the day, and when you look at it now, I think we won 7 games in a row after that. So you could almost argue it was the best thing that happened to us this season was getting that rude awakening. And like I said, like, there were young players in the team. They were still learning about the league and learning how to play men's football. It was a bit of a culture shock to them that day, and it was certainly a long bus journey home from Finn Harps. But if I remember correctly, I think we had a game in the Leinster Senior Cup on the Monday straight away after that, and and we had spoke about, even before the Finn Harps game, we had spoke about slightly changing our formation and playing with a different shape and a different way, and we done that in the game on the Monday night. And I mean, I think the game finished 1-1 on the Monday, but we had seen enough in that to change our system and to play in a way that we thought would suit our players better, and which it did. I mean, it left us a little bit more open in terms of the chances that we were coughing up, but we started scoring a lot of goals and creating a lot of chances, and ultimately it's what led us to win plenty of games. Really, was that slight change in shape.
You finished third overall behind Dundalk and Cove, an achievement when you consider both teams are full time. So to finish third against them, ahead of the season, it's a great finish for the club.
Yeah, it was good to finish third. We were probably slightly disappointed with it, if we're being honest, because after the third round of fixtures, I think it was, we were right in the mix to try and challenge or try and catch Dundalk. We were probably 5 or 6 points off Dundalk and a couple behind Cove, and we really thought we could push them all the way. But the fourth round of fixtures were very difficult for us, and we knew all along that we had to play Cove away, Dundalk away, UCD away, Treaty away, all in the last round, all in the fourth round of fixtures. So we knew that was going to be tough. We knew they would be very high pressured games with Dundalk and Cove obviously going for the league themselves. And we were disappointed with those results in that. But having said that, we knew obviously with 5 or 6 games to go then after Dundalk beat us up there that we weren't going to catch them. We weren't going to finish top of the league. Our playoff place was almost secured, so it gave us a chance to give some players a little break that had played probably 32 games, and we gave them a little rest and made sure everybody else got enough game time that all our preparations at that stage was just on the 2 games against UCD. We knew that they were going to be very, very difficult games against one of the informed teams who they were at that time, UCD. So all our energy and all our focus and all our training and everything we done really for the last month of the season was making sure we were ready when those playoff games came around. Just
when the playoffs, I mean, 2 games UCD, 1 against Treaty, you performed admirably to get the results to get to the promotion relegation playoff for the second year out.
Yeah, we spoke to the players about this after one of the playoff games. I think our performances and our form in those 3 games in the playoffs are probably as high as they've been all season. Especially, as I said, against a top UCD side who were on a really good run over the last 2 or 3 months of the season. To beat them twice, obviously up in the game in the ball was a tight affair, which we knew it would be. There wasn't many chances at either end, but it was a massive bonus for Keane Doyle to pop up with the winner there in injury time. And then when we got them back to Bray, I thought that performance that night was special. The atmosphere was brilliant. It was a great crowd in, and I thought the players were outstanding. We had a game plan. We knew they'd have to come out and attack us at stages of the game because they were behind, and we were able to pick them off on the break, which was exactly what we had planned to do. The game up in Athlone then against Treaty, again we knew that would be tight and cagey because that's the sort of game they wanted. They wanted as few chances in the game as possible, and that's how it turned out. And a moment of inspiration from Justin with a special goal in injury time again, seeing us over the line. So I mean, our performances in those 3 playoff games, as I said, I thought we were a real high quality, and full credit to the players because it showed how much they'd grown throughout the season. Just
on the Waterford playoff game from last Friday, looking back on it, the game was there to be won.
Of course, and I'm sitting here now, 3 or 4 days later, still disappointed because it was right there for us. We had a fully fit squad, everyone was available, we had no suspensions. We were confident that we could go up there, and we knew we could put on performance. We thought we could get over the line, but the conditions on the night were horrendous. Really, the pitch was bad. It was a war of attrition. Really, it ended up. There wasn't much football played in the game with the conditions the way they were. But at 60 minutes we were looking at it, and as you said, it was all there for us. We had Billy coming off the bench, full of energy and full of legs, and they were obviously had more possession, but we felt like we could certainly hurt them on the break, and we were disappointed obviously to concede the goal the way we did. It's probably the first time in a long time someone has gone through a midfield like that and ended up with no pressure on them with a shot on the edge of the box. So that was the disappointing thing. But you know, can't fault the players for 1 minute with the energy and the effort, and they give everything for the team, and they gave everything on the night, and the backing they received from the crowd was outstanding. And you know, we're disappointed we didn't get over the line, but we know we have to be better. That's 2 playoff finals now that we've lost in, but we have to make sure that we improve everything. We improve the quality of our training, the coaching, the analysis, the infrastructure. Everything is going in the right direction, and we're all pulling in the same way. But we know if we want to bridge that gap and get the Premier League, everything has to improve.
So the preparation for 2026 has started already.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We've got to try and target players from outside the club who we need to bring in that we can think help us. We want to improve every position, and we think we can do that. And obviously we need to speak to the players that were here as well from last year. So there's loads and loads of work to be done. We've got to put a schedule together for pre-season and organise some friendlies and get all that done as well. But you know, there's no waiting around. It's starting now, and you got to try and get that head start on other teams, because I'm sure there's plenty of our players will be targeted by other clubs, and just like we'll target players from everywhere else. So it doesn't stop. As I said, we got to keep improving, and the hard work starts now for next year.